Project 4 in the Confident Communicator Manual, How to Say It. Her title is Neurology Made Simple, and her goals in this 5 to 7 minute speech are to communicate clearly using the right words and sentence structure. Please welcome Nugget.
So you're going up to class talking about neurology. It's challenging to make neurology simple, but I think that's because most professors just make it more complicated, clearly. Okay. So just imagine most of your cells in the body are like second grader, and the brain in your body are like the teacher. What happened if the teacher left the classroom with a whole bunch of second graders in class by themselves? Probably chaotic would happen. So that's how the cell in your body need constant moderation. So just picture, I think everybody here know what a safety pin looks like. So picture the top of the safety pin is your brain, and the loop at the bottom is your cell. So the cell receiving outside information or changes in the environment will send the signal, any cell in your body, say heart rate, will send a signal to the brain and tell the brain what it's need and make an order. And the brain would coordinate that order and send a signal, imagine the other side of the safety pin, down back to the cell, and then now the cell would function accordingly to the changes in your environment. What happens if now imagine an open safety pin. Now the cell still sending signal back to the brain to make it order, but then there's a gap. So the brain kind of hear something, and it will coordinate a random stuff and send a signal to the cell. Now you had a miscommunication. That's how chaotic happened. So the cell now just have this, they don't really have like the specific order that is actually needed from the brain, because the brain didn't really hear the whole entire message, but it still needs to coordinate something. So that's what happened to most of, like, say you have like either a increase in heart rate or decrease in heart rate, is because the communication are not clear. And so the body, most people don't really know is that you also have this little brain, which is like, so you have the brain, then the communication come down to the brainstem, then the brainstem sending down to the spinal cord, and then the spinal cord send out to your periphery entire body. And the brainstem is what acts as your fuse box in your house. You go inside your house, and that's where it's housing the entire, where all the neurology come from. So it's communicate and then sent out to the entire body. So what happened is that when the body having, say, your brain having a working on like the bottom, say the C1 and the C2, that's where it's called like the atlas and the axis, where it's sit right underneath the skull, and your head is weigh about 8 to 9 pounds. So then when the body go through life and there's like stress or trauma happen, now like instead of holding a bowling ball like in the center, it's now shifted and slightly misaligned. So just imagine holding a bowling ball slightly this way and slightly tilting forward. So all the pressure is into the wrist, and that's why most people have pain underneath there. And that is where, when you have what we call like a nerve interference, where the gap going back to the safety pin. So that causes all the pressure to go down to the body. And so most people they start to eventually, like the beginning, by the time you experience symptom or chaotic that happened in your cell, it's actually the process have been going on for a really long time. It doesn't happen overnight. So by the time you experience all the pain and or any symptom, it have been happening for a long time. So if most, we tend to have taking care of our car way more than we take care of ourselves. So most people haven't really go through I say so when people come in and explain they have all this pain and symptom, I ask them have they ever had their nervous system checked, and most people would say no, because it's fascinating because that is the main communication through the entire body. You figure most people would like it for it to stay clear and have space for the communication to happen, but most people don't really think about checking their nervous system. They check everything else but that. And so for me, I think it's super important to have a clear communication just between outside-wise, like with you and another person. Imagine how much of most of the time arguments happen is because of miscommunication. And I think people sometimes don't even know what's they're arguing about until when they clear it up, then they're like, oh, that was just a miscommunication. And that's what's going on in your body. It just really is most of things that happen in your body is just a miscommunication between the brain and the cell. And I think with clear communication will help relationship thrive. So thank you.